What's up everyone, Aditya Sharma here for Gadgets Live. This video is going to be a follow-up video regarding the original video where I talked about what's Wi-Fi, how does it work, 2.4 GHz versus 5 GHz and all that. If you haven't watched that, be sure to click the notification to watch it. Now let's talk about IEEE's 802.11 wireless standards. But you might ask what 802.11 is. Well, without getting into much of detail, let's think it as a set of protocols developed by IEEE for the implementation of WLAN in the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands. So let's start off with the first 802.11 protocol, which didn't have any suffix and was simply called 802.11. It made its debut on June 1997 and worked on only 2.4 GHz spectrum and had a maximum speed of 2 Mbps. It only made its presence for about 2 years, after which it was preceded by two standards, 802.11a and 802.11b. The 802.11b standard came into presence in September 1999 and worked on 2.4 GHz spectrum and provided a maximum bandwidth of 11 Mbps, which was cheap but had problems of interference with other appliances and had a low overall bandwidth. So the pros of 802.11 were lower cost of setup and good signal range, but the cons were slowest maximum speed and home appliances may interfere on the unregulated frequency band. Like the 802.11b, the 802.11a also came out on the September of 1999, employing a 5 GHz spectrum to provide a maximum theoretical bandwidth of 54 Mbps, which was pretty fast at that time but had its own problem like higher cost of setup and less range compared to 2.4 GHz spectrum. The pros of 802.11a were that it didn't interfere with other appliances and produced a much more powerful throughput. The cons being high cost of setup and lower range made it less popular among the consumers than 802.11b. After 6 years of release of the original 802.11 on June 2003, a new standard called 802.11g was released. It combined the best of both worlds. It has 54 Mbps fast throughput and works on 2.4 GHz band for higher range. 802.11g is backwards compatible with 802.11b, which means that 802.11g access points will work with 802.11b wireless network adapters and vice versa. But as always, there were some pros and cons to it. The pros are high overall bandwidth and a good range, but the cons were that it could be easily obstructed by other devices emitting 2.4 GHz frequency. The fourth installment in the 802.11 wireless standard series was released in October of 2009. It basically improved the overall throughput of the G standard by deploying MIMO antennas, an abbreviation for multiple input, multiple outputs. MIMO uses special antennas at both the transmitter and receiver to provide fast bandwidth. MIMO can simultaneously transmit and receive multiple streams of data. This technique also increases range. The 802.11n can work on any of the two popular bands, the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz. Then standard comes in 3 tiers of 150 Mbps with single stream, 300 Mbps with dual stream and 450 Mbps with triple stream. The pros of the N being faster speeds and greater range in 2.4 GHz and less interference in 5 GHz made it popular amongst the public. The wireless 802.11 AC is the newest installment in the wireless standards. The standard was developed from 2011 to 2013 with the final approval and publication in the early of 2014. It is the fastest of all the prevalent standards available today. Similar to the wireless N, AC also comes in 3 tiers comprising of 450 Mbps with single stream, 900 Mbps with dual stream and 1.3 Gbps with triple stream. Technically, it is the first wireless standard to break the gigabit barrier, at least in theory. The wireless AC solely works on 5 GHz spectrum, giving the backwards compatibility only up to wireless N. With the announcement of more and more wireless routers and adapters and more SoC vendors like Qualcomm integrating it into their SoCs, the wireless AC is set to become the new wireless standard. After discussing about the wireless standards, let's discuss something that's important while choosing a router. Yes, single band and dual band routers. Now, single band router solely works on 2.4 GHz band and is fairly inexpensive. This router can support the latest wireless N standard with the speed up to 300 to 450 Mbps. Due to their 2.4 GHz spectrum, they generally interfere with the other appliances working on it and are not suitable if you are living in a wirelessly crowded area such as apartments. On the other hand, the dual band router contains a 2.4 GHz as well as 5 GHz antenna and can work on both simultaneously. This means that if there is a dual band router and two devices with varying frequencies of 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz signal, then it is able to feed both of them simultaneously. These routers are fairly expensive than your cheap single bands. They can work on wireless and their speeds go as much as 900 Mbps, that is 450 plus 450 in the top tier line of products. They have a longer range and are generally faster, better and are more reliable than their typical single band members. This wraps up our video of Wi-Fi part 2. Thanks for watching. This was Aditya Sharma for Gadgets Live and hope to see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye.